Hello there, my beautiful friends. Today we are going to be shining some light on an indie brand that I personally feel is underrated, and that brand is Lele Posh Cosmetics. So if you are interested in seeing what Lele Posh is all about, then go ahead and keep on watching and let's jump right on in. So this is your good old-fashioned typical swatch party video like I always do here on my channel. I've gotten so accustomed to doing these, but I enjoy making them. You guys seem to like watching them, so they're not going to be stopping anytime soon. But today we're going to be shining a little bit of spotlight here on an indie brand that I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about. This brand is Lele Posh Cosmetics. Now, I first heard about this brand through the Indie Mood on Instagram. She had posted some swatches of some products that she got and they looked fabulous. And she was mentioning how no one talks about this brand, but their formulas are just fantastic, and that the brand owner herself prides herself on the formulas and thinks that she has a special product that more people should know about. And Indie Mood agreed with her, and I trust Indie Mood, so I went ahead and purchased some things from Lele Posh. And let me tell you, I am pleasantly surprised by everything I've tried from them. So I'm going to be showing you the products that I personally own from them today. We are going to be swatching them. I'll go over prices, I'll go over colors, and do up close and personal shots as well. This way you can get to know this brand a little bit. So just a little bit of background information on Lele Posh before we jump on into the most exciting part, the swatches. They are currently made in the USA. They are cruelty-free and vegan, and they also offer formula alternatives if you have any cosmetic allergies, which I personally think is a really cool thing because a lot of people out there have allergies to a lot of these weird, crazy ingredients that are in cosmetics. So that's a pretty cool thing. But let's go ahead and jump on into what you guys are here for, which is the swatches, of course. We are getting started with the highlighters that I own from Lele Posh. Now, the first highlighter that I have to show you is probably my favorite product from the entire brand, and this is the shade Stalker. Now, this is a foiled soft rosy pink, and when I say foiled, I mean foiled. You can see it in the pan. The texture of this particular highlight is extremely foiled, so if you're not into a very shiny and bright and in-your-face highlight, this is not going to be for you, but if you are, this is totally going to be your jam. I think this highlight is absolutely stunning. This is a collab with somebody named Beauty FX by Riley on Instagram, and this highlighter is only $10, and it's giving me Natasha Denona crystal highlighter vibes. It's got that same kind of sparkle and shine. It's got a very finely milled shimmer to it that's not too chunky or overwhelming, but you can see it when the light hits it a certain way. And this highlight in particular is a pink highlight that isn't too pink based. I love me a good pink highlight, but not everybody is looking for a straight up bubblegum pink highlight. This is just a hint of rosy pink, and it's ultra beautiful. So the next highlight I have to show you here is called Ringleader, and this puppy retails for only $10. You see how big that pan is? That is insane. But this is described as a duochromatic highlight that features a stunning frosty silver red. In some lights it can appear a little bit more soft pink, and it also shifts to a stunning peachy gold. So basically it's a white iridescent based highlight that has a bit of a cool undertone in the actual base powder itself, and then it has these really beautiful pinky and peachy and golden kind of shifts to it. They describe it, and I quote, as a sunset in a pressed powder. This is a really beautiful, just true iridescent pinky kind of silvery highlight. Now this highlight is definitely on the lighter spectrum of things here. I would say that if you have super fair skin to maybe light medium, maybe medium skin, I think this highlight wouldn't wash you out, but if you do have deeper skin, this might be a little bit too light for you. But the nice thing about highlights is that you can always mix them together with other ones that suit your skin tone a little bit better. So if you want something duochromatic, you can always bring in a little bit deeper of a shade just to kind of even out that super white base. It's even a little bit kind of stark on me, but I love mixing this guy with other highlights just to give a little bit of that iridescent pink flash kind of peeking through. So those are all of the highlights that I currently own from them, although I would love to grow my collection. As you can see, the two highlights themselves are very different as far as the actual formula goes. I personally prefer Stalker, the really beautiful, super foiled kind of highlighty shade. It was just so creamy to the touch and just had such a beautiful amount of sheen and a little bit of sparkle. I know that's not necessarily everyone's cup of tea, but that's my cup of tea for sure. So I would love to see more highlighters in that formula from them. My hat's off to them for offering a variety of different formulas of highlighters to choose from. But enough about highlighters, let's jump right on in to the eyeshadows. So this first eyeshadow eyeshadow here is called Strawberries and Champagne. This is described as a blush pink with a champagne shift, and it also has really beautiful little champagne shimmers running throughout it. This is very, very similar in formula to the highlight we saw earlier, the shade Stalker. Now, you just wait until I tell you how much this eyeshadow is. It is $3. This eyeshadow is $3 freaking. And look at that gorgeous amount of shine and sparkle that you see in the pan there. Sometimes you can just look at an eyeshadow visually and know if it's going to be a good one or not. Not all the time, that is not to be said about every brand, but sometimes you just know, and that's exactly how I felt the first time I saw Strawberries and Champagne. And let me tell you, this guy lived up to my expectations. This is such a beautiful blush, kind of soft rosy pink that has a gorgeous amount of sparkle and shine. This is one of those formulas that is not overly chunky, it's not glittery, it's just super, super shimmery and gives almost a wet look to the skin. Natasha Denona highlighters are coming to the mind when I'm looking at this swatch right now. That's how I felt when I first swatched it. That's how I feel when I put these on the eyes. They just remind me of Natasha Denona's highlights, which is a very good thing because Natasha Denona's highlights are a heck of a lot more expensive than the $3 price tag that this guy is. I have to say, I also love the name Strawberries and Champagne. I feel like that's such a good idea for a makeup collection or just makeup in general. Fun fact, like a year ago, maybe even a year and a half ago, I made an entire faux Too Faced Strawberries and Champagne collection. I have just been yearning after that, just waiting for one of these days a strawberry and champagne palette or eyeshadow or something along the lines of that. And Lele Posh Cosmetics came through and absolutely killed it with Strawberries and Champagne. This eyeshadow is absolutely beautiful and I have to just applaud them on the name as well. The next shade we have here is called Luci, and I know this might look super, super similar to Strawberries and Champagne in the pan, but you just wait, they are very, very different. This is described as a foiled rosy pink with a hint of mauve, and this shadow actually has no sparkle in it. You wouldn't be able to tell that by looking at it in the pan, but as you can see, I'm holding up Strawberries and Champagne on the left here and Luci is on the right. Luci is much more cool toned and much more mauve-y. It's also much deeper than Strawberries and Champagne, and it doesn't have any sparkle to it. It's just a super high shine, high metallic foiled shade that has a really strong champagne shift and a really intense mauve-y kind of rosy base. It's a really beautiful shade. It's very soft and romantic and flirty. I think it's absolutely stunning. As you can see, Strawberries and Champagne is much glitterier, although it's not chunky glitter by any means, but it's much more wet looking on the skin versus Luci, which is just your traditional ultra foiled metallic shade. But they're both beautiful nonetheless, and I am so happy that I own both of them. Now, you know, like, I don't even need to say anything about this shade right now. You know this is my favorite. You know I love this. You know that this is everything I just live and die for as far as makeup goes. But this is the shade Thingz with a Z, and this is described as an ultra foiled cool magenta pink. Now obviously this is right up my alley, I don't need to say that, but this eyeshadow is just so mesmerizing. Look at it in the pan, look at it in all its beauty. This is basically all of my makeup dreams just thrown into one eyeshadow here. This is what I look for when it comes to makeup. Now, this eyeshadow is very, very shimmery. It's not glittery by any means, but it's definitely very shimmery. It's slightly chunkier than the other two that I've shown so far, but that's just the nature of having an extremely shimmery shadow. This also gives a very wet-like effect to the skin, but you have that beautiful magenta base. I would describe this more as an eyeshadow topper, although you can build it up to be full opacity, especially if you apply this with your finger over top of glitter glue, you're gonna get full opacity. And if you want something a little bit more sheer to just go over top of eyeshadows, then applying a thin layer of this guy will do the trick. But yeah, this guy speaks for himself. You know I love him. This is probably my favorite eyeshadow that I've ever seen them come out with, and I could just take a bath in this eyeshadow. So I promise you, after this shadow, we are finally done with the pinks. I have more colors that are in this collection. I promise we're getting through them. This is the last one. But this is the shade Pretty in Pink. Might as well save the one with pink in the name for last. But this is described as a coral-based soft pink with a pretty foiled shimmer effect, sure to elevate your pink collection, according to them. Now, this is basically a deeper toned, kind of corally eyeshadow that has a magenta shift. You definitely get a bit of that coral, but it's more deep than I've personally seen a lot of corals. It's right on the border of coral and red. It's not quite a red, but it's also not quite a coral. It also has a bit of a magenta kind of cool toned shift to it, and it has some really beautiful silvery cool toned shimmers to it. It's a really interesting shade. I haven't personally seen a lot of things like this one. All right, we've made it through the pinks. See, I bet you were expecting another pink, but I told you, we were done with the pinks. I'm true to my word here. This is the shade Dreamstate, and it retails for only $3, and I forgot to mention it, but Pretty in Pink is $3 as well. These prices are killing me in the best way possible, if that's even possible. But this is described as a foiled dusty blue with aqua shimmers. And you can see that in the swatches here. This is an ultra shimmery shade. This is another one that can be used as a topper if you wanted it to be one, but if you pack this over the lid over top of a glitter glue with your finger, you're gonna get full opacity in just 1 or 2 layers depending on how much you pick up. And this is such a beautiful, cool aqua kind of sparkly shade. It is absolutely beautiful, and I think if you like blue eyeshadow, this is definitely one to add to your collection. Next up, we have the shade April, which looks much more blue on camera than it does in real life. For some reason, my camera is just very cool toned and washes everything out a little bit, but this guy here is described as a foiled soft cool gray with blue, pink, and silver shimmers, and she retails for $4. But April is from the Birthstone collection. If you're not already aware, everybody has a birthstone. Whatever month you were born in, you have a certain kind of stone that represents you, just like your horoscope or your astrology sign. Now mine just so happens to be April, and April's birthstone is a diamond. And that is exactly what they were going for with this shadow. They wanted to replicate the clear kind of neutral base quality of a diamond and then show off all of the different colors of sparkles that you would see in an actual diamond. This is a really beautiful multi-dimensional shadow that has a bunch of different multicolored glitters. I love the concept of having the birthstone collection. It just makes it a little bit more personable, and it's just more exciting to buy something that's a little bit more catered to you. I know that Lele Cosmetics had a birthstone collection as well, and they had a bunch of beautiful shadows. Those are the only 2 brands that I've ever personally seen do a birthstone collection, and I don't really know why. Everyone always does astrology, but birthstones are just as cool and just as interesting as astrology. And I just so happen to be a Taurus, so that means that every time someone comes out with an astrology makeup collection, I get the poop brown color. So this is a little bit more exciting than poop brown, if I say so myself. So the final product that I have to show you guys is actually a few different shadows that are all from one particular quad, and they are from the We Are All Mad Here quad, which retailed for $10. Now currently, I haven't been able to find this on their website, so I'm not sure if it's something that they've discontinued or if maybe they're just restocking them, but they had quads for $10 on their website. That price point is absolutely fantastic. All of their price points are fantastic. It's kind of insane. Now you're gonna notice real quick here that out of the quad, I am missing one eyeshadow, and that is just a plain foiled metallic-y kind of sparkly black shade. I don't know what the heck happened to it. You know I don't use black eyeshadow, okay? I never use black eyeshadow, so therefore I never keep track of any black eyeshadow that somehow makes its way into my collection. And somehow the metallic, sparkly black shade from this palette has just sprouted legs and walked away, and I have no idea what happened to it. So I'm sorry about that. But the other 3 shades that I have from this quad are absolutely stunning. The first shade from the quad I would describe as an ultra foiled cool silvery champagne highlighting shade. Now it's a lot of descriptive words, but this is a very stark icy kind of silvery white shade that has a really decent amount of champagne shimmers running throughout it. Now I have to just point out here that this formula in particular is my personal favorite as far as the eyeshadows go. I know I said that about Thingz earlier, but I think that this formula is just ever so slightly better. This particular formula has a very strong amount of shimmer in it. You can really see it in the pan. You can see it even more so in these pans than the other singles I was showing you earlier. These are extremely intense. These are super foiled. These are some of the most foiled eyeshadows I think I've laid my eyes on that aren't multichromes, that aren't glitter multichromes. These do not market themselves as glitter multichromes, they just market themselves as normal eyeshadows. These are so intense and strong and sparkly, and they are absolutely beautiful. They look super wet and foiled, and they just remind me of like crystal chandeliers and just crystals in general. They are so shimmery and beautiful. I could just cover myself head to toe in them, especially this white shade, which I would have to say is my favorite out of the 3 that I own. So the second shade from the We're All Mad Here quad, which is based off of Alice in Wonderland, if you couldn't tell. There's a lot of Alice in Wonderland fans out there. I personally have never seen the movie, but this is described as a teddy bear neutral brown, and this shade is extremely foiled. Like, what you're seeing in the pan here is basically what you're gonna get on your actual eyes and on your skin. This is so incredibly foiled, and I don't understand how this is so foiled without actually being a glittery, multi-chromatic shade. The formula of this is just so absolutely stunning, and I think a lot of people would enjoy this eyeshadow because it is a more neutral, kind of tame color that's a little bit more safe for people who don't necessarily want to go with a super sparkly pink shadow or a super sparkly blue shadow. I think it's really cool that she offers a formula that is this intense, that is in a neutral, kind of basic, everyday shade. I could see a lot of people getting a whole heck of a lot of use out of a shade like this. And the final shade from the We Are All Mad Here quad is described as an ultra foiled berry burgundy. She has the same amount of shine as the other 2. She has the same amount of shimmers kind of running throughout it. And as you can see, this is a very deep berry kind of burgundy magenta plummy shade. This is like the perfect date night sultry eyeshadow that's still deep in tone but has such a beautiful high shine impact. This is the kind of shadow that's perfect for that type of scenario. Or if you're going out on the weekend, or heck, if you're even staying home and watching movies, but you just want to reach for something that's very ambitious and just a little bit out of your comfort zone, this is totally the eyeshadow for that. I don't really know why we associate deep, smokier colors with going out at nighttime. Like, when did that even become a thing? You can wear whatever eyeshadow you want, no matter what time of the day it is, but for some reason, we just associate these kinds of deep colors with going out to the club. This eyeshadow has a decent amount of smokiness to it. It reminds me of like a smoky plum kind of eyeshadow that has almost a cooler toned base, but it's such a beautiful shade that catches the light so nicely and looks so bright and intense under certain lights. So you're gonna get something really interesting, almost dual chromatic looking because of that super, super intense and bright shimmer running throughout it. It's just a really interesting eyeshadow. I don't really see a lot of deep burgundy plummy eyeshadows that have such an intense and bright sparkle that aren't glitter multichromes. Like I said, these are not marketed that way, but they are a whole heck of a lot more intense than just your basic everyday foil. Alright guys, but we have reached the conclusion to everything that I own from Lele Posh Cosmetics. I really hope this was able to shine a little bit of a light on them and show you some of their product. If you are someone who is new to the makeup industry, you're just starting a brand, it is really, really tough out here. It's hard to get noticed amongst all of these influencers and to get noticed amongst all of these customers. We are no longer in the olden days of 2012 when the only palettes available were basically the Too Faced Nude palette and the Urban Decay Naked palette. We have moved way past that. There are so many brands coming out every single day, so it's hard to get noticed nowadays. And when you have a really special product like Lele Posh Cosmetics does, I think they should be recognized, and I think more people should know about them. So that is exactly why I made this video. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you had heard of this brand before but you just weren't sure if you wanted to purchase anything from them, if you weren't sure about their products, I hope that this was insightful for you. I hope it was helpful, and if you hadn't heard of this brand, I really hope that you enjoyed seeing some new products and some really interesting and unique products as well. So let me know in the comments if you've tried anything from this brand before, and let me know if there's any brands out there that you would like me to do a spotlight video on like this one, because I would love to shine some light on some smaller indie brands out there that don't get enough attention. But with that being said, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. I do all sorts of swatch party videos like this on my channel, so I will have a playlist linked as well. And if you enjoyed the video, I would absolutely love it if you gave me a big old thumbs up. As I was saying, it's tough pickings out here in the makeup community, so every time you like one of my videos, it helps me to get noticed by other people, so I really appreciate it if you choose to do so. But with that being said, I hope that you are having an absolutely amazing and beautiful day wherever you are, and thank you so much for joining me here and spending your time here. I hope to see you next time. Bye!